Trump had many things to say last night, so CBS News fact-checked his speech. CBS News correspondent Michael George is here with more on the claims the president made about the U.S. economy and his record. Great to see you, Michael. Good morning. So, what was true and what was not really on point?
Well, Errol, we've got a lot to break down here. So, in touting his economic accomplishments over the past year, President Trump touched on an issue on the minds of most Americans: inflation.
Inflation has stopped.
Well, CBS News is rating the president's claim that inflation has stopped as false, and I'll tell you why. The Consumer Price Index shows that annual inflation reached 3% in September, which is the most recent month for available data due to the government shutdown. Now, that's a lot lower than the peak it hit under his predecessor, Joe Biden, but this was the same inflation rate as January when President Trump took office. The Federal Reserve's official inflation.
You know that moment when you're sure something is about to happen, and then it just doesn't? That's exactly what's unfolding in Washington right now. More than 100 members of Congress have openly said President Trump should no longer be in office. Some are calling for impeachment. Others say he should resign. A few are even pushing the 25th Amendment. And yet, here's the shocking part, he's still president. Still in power. And that's what makes this moment so unprecedented. Let's break it down. In 2025 alone, multiple impeachment resolutions have been filed against Trump. Not one or two, several. Each one lays out serious, detailed accusations: obstruction of justice, abuse of power, due process violations, the creation of unlawful offices, bribery, corruption, even claims of authoritarian behavior. Lawmakers are openly warning that a sitting president poses a threat to democracy. And despite all of that, nothing has removed him from office.
Surrounded by protesters Thursday, Democratic Congressman Al Green announced he will file articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump before Christmas.
I pledge to you, I will bring those articles of impeachment to the attention of the Congress of the United States of America before the Christmas break.
A successful impeachment is highly unlikely in a Republican-led Congress, but Democrats feel optimistic about winning the majority in next year's elections. Green emphasized he does not want to wait for a viable majority to file the articles of impeachment.
I'd love to have a majority, but the Constitution does not have a scintilla of a word in it indicating that you have to wait until you have a majority to impeach. It's just not there.
President Trump was impeached twice during his first term, but the Senate did not vote to remove him. Some Democratic leaders have refrained from supporting a third impeachment because they're concerned it would fail. In Washington, I'm Stetson Miller.
This is where the situation becomes truly alarming. The impeachment process isn't meant to be easy, but it is meant to function when serious allegations are formally presented, debated, and backed by evidence. In this case, it isn't working. Here's the critical moment. On December 10th, Representative Al Green introduced a new impeachment resolution warning that Trump could incite violence, inflame hatred, undermine democracy, and even dismantle the republic if he remains in office. That's not commentary, that's the exact language used in an official congressional filing. The very next day, 140 members of the House voted to move the resolution forward. 140. Nearly a third of the entire chamber saying, "This is serious and demands action." So what happened next? Republicans shut it down procedurally, tabling the resolution and killing it without debate, without hearings, and without weighing the evidence. This part often gets overlooked. This isn't a fringe protest or a handful of angry lawmakers shouting into the void. This is more than 100 elected officials, many of them long-serving members of Congress, formally on the record calling for removal. And yet Trump remains in office, untouched, continuing to make decisions that impact millions of Americans every single day.
2%, which is a benchmark for ensuring economic growth. Now, let's fact-check another claim President Trump made last night that's related to inflation.
And for the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation.
Well, CBS News is rating the president's claim about wages as partially true. Here's why. In 2023, wages did start to outpace inflation for the first time since 2021. But since then, wage growth has stagnated around 3.5%, while inflation has been steadily rising since falling to a low of 2.3% in April of this year. Now, finally, let's see what the president had to say about health care costs.
The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost. And you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats.
That's the reality. And it's not just about abstract numbers or procedural fights. There's a real human cost. When the executive branch is led by a president accused of actively eroding democratic norms, the impact ripples outward. It affects federal agencies, judicial appointments, the economy, foreign policy, and ultimately public trust in government itself. Every delayed vote, every ignored safeguard, every procedural maneuver carries real-world consequences for people's lives, so why do these impeachment efforts keep failing? Let's break it down. First, party loyalty has overtaken accountability. Republicans control the House, and no matter how serious the allegations, they refuse to act. Even when 140 members vote to advance impeachment articles, the majority can simply shut the process down. That's more than politics. It's a structural weakness in how the system checks presidential power. The Constitution's framers believed institutional responsibility would outweigh party allegiance. Today, party loyalty often overrides accountability, turning constitutional safeguards into political theater. Second, the repetition itself matters. This isn't a one-time reaction or a symbolic protest. Representative Al Green filed impeachment resolutions in April, June, and December of 2025, each one escalating in severity. The April filing outlined 7 charges, including obstruction of justice and tyranny. The June resolution focused on abuse of war powers and efforts to push the country toward authoritarian rule. By December, the warnings had escalated even further. Lawmakers were openly stating that the president could dissolve the republic itself. The pattern is unmistakable. These aren't offhand criticisms or emotional reactions. They are methodical, legally framed arguments for removal. And every single one of them has been stopped cold by partisan control. Here's what most people miss. It's not only impeachment that's failing. Calls for resignation are being ignored as well. More than 120 House members and at least 7 senators have publicly said Trump should step down. That's an extraordinary level of opposition. In almost any other era, that kind of pressure would have been impossible to brush off, but it doesn't matter anymore. Trump ignores it. Public appeals carry no weight when there's no mechanism to enforce them. Demands for resignation become empty words, loud, but powerless. What's striking is how much political culture has changed. There was a time when even the suggestion of bipartisan resignation calls could seriously damage a president's standing. Today, those moments generate headlines for a day, maybe a week, and then disappear, while power, policy, and authority roll on uninterrupted. And this forces a bigger question about the system itself. The Constitution assumes Congress will act when a president threatens democracy. It assumes checks and balances will hold. But when one party refuses to hold its own president accountable, those assumptions collapse. Impeachment is meant to be the ultimate safeguard. And when that safeguard is blocked, what's left? Nothing at all. Accountability disappears. Checks and balances break down. And the 140 votes in December prove it. In a functioning system, that number would ignite a national debate, force the party in power to confront the charges, and apply real pressure on the president. But this isn't a normal political environment. In today's hyper-partisan climate, 140 votes for impeachment are dismissed as background noise. Evidence doesn't matter. Legal arguments don't matter. Even accusations of tyranny don't matter. Party loyalty overrides everything. That's not speculation, that's what's happening in plain sight. And here's the real danger. This isn't just about Trump. It's about precedent. Every failed impeachment, every ignored resignation call, every procedurally blocked vote sends a clear message. If your party controls Congress, you can push the limits and face no real consequences. Accusations of tyranny get ignored. Calls for removal become meaningless. The lesson for future presidents is unmistakable. Party protection beats accountability every time. And this isn't theoretical anymore. It's already shaping behavior. Future presidents, advisors, and political strategists are watching closely. They're tracking what goes unpunished and how partisan loyalty shields power, effectively creating a playbook for testing and expanding the boundaries of authority. Zooming out, this is the bigger picture. What we're witnessing is what many experts describe as a slow constitutional crisis. Not dramatic, not cinematic, but deeply real and deeply consequential. The system is failing to remove a president facing repeated, serious accusations. The checks on presidential power aren't working. And it's not because the law is unclear, it's because of a choice. The party is choosing protection over responsibility, and that choice is weakening the very institutions meant to safeguard democracy. Now, let's dig into the details of those repeated impeachment filings. The April resolution introduced by Representative Al Green laid out 7 separate articles of impeachment: obstruction of justice, usurping Congress's spending power, abuse of trade authority, violations of First Amendment rights, the creation of unlawful offices, bribery and corruption, and tyranny. These weren't symbolic accusations. Each article was supported by legal analysis, historical precedent, and documented reasoning intended to establish clear grounds for impeachment. And yet, it went nowhere. The majority party simply refused to bring it to a vote. Then came June. New filings accused Trump of abusing war powers and deliberately undermining democratic institutions. Once again, the effort was blocked. By December, the language escalated further, warning that allowing the president to remain in office could ultimately dissolve the republic itself. Repeated filings. Escalating charges. Still no action. That's the pattern. What most people fail to recognize is what repeated impeachment filings actually represent. This isn't a reactive political hit job. It's a sustained, methodical attempt to hold the executive branch accountable. Lawmakers are documenting conduct, citing legal precedent, assembling evidence, and yet the very system designed to respond is being deliberately shut down. That reality reveals just how completely partisan politics can override constitutional safeguards. Then there's the resignation question. More than 120 lawmakers calling for a sitting president to step down is extraordinary. That group includes Democrats, independents, and even a handful of Republicans. In a different political era, that level of pressure might have forced serious reflection, or even resignation. But Trump has made his position clear: he will not step down. Calls for resignation, no matter how numerous, carry no enforcement power. Public pressure means nothing without legal or procedural follow-through. And that absence of consequences is exactly what we're witnessing. So when we zoom out, this isn't just a story about one president. It's about how the system responds, or fails to respond, when a president is accused of violating democratic norms, embracing authoritarian behavior, and potentially threatening the stability of democracy itself. The impeachment process is meant to be the system's safety valve. But when the party in power refuses to use it, that valve is effectively sealed shut. Constitutional safeguards only matter if the people responsible for enforcing them are willing to act. In Trump's case, that willingness simply doesn't exist. Consider the optics alone. 140 members voting to advance an impeachment resolution should be a seismic political moment. That's nearly a third of the House saying, this president deserves serious scrutiny. In a normal political environment, that would trigger wall-to-wall coverage, intense debate, and enormous pressure on both parties. Instead, in today's hyper-partisan climate, it barely registers. It becomes just another headline that fades away. Evidence is dismissed. Legal arguments are ignored. Calls for accountability are brushed aside, as long as party loyalty shields the president. And we can't ignore the psychological impact of repeated failure. Every blocked impeachment, every ignored resignation demand, every procedural maneuver sends the same message. Political protection outweighs accountability. Accusations of tyranny are waved off. Warnings about democratic erosion are treated as noise. That pattern teaches future presidents and political operatives exactly how far they can go with minimal risk. And that normalization is dangerous, because it reshapes expectations around presidential behavior and weakens the standards meant to restrain power. What we're seeing now is what many experts describe as a slow erosion of constitutional authority. Impeachment was never supposed to be easy, but it was supposed to be possible when evidence and support exist. Here, both do: documented charges, legal reasoning, and significant backing in Congress. And still, the system doesn't act. That's not a flaw in the Constitution. It's a political choice. Party over principle. Loyalty over law. Protection over accountability. So what comes next? That's the real question. Trump remains in office. More than 100 lawmakers want him removed. Multiple impeachment articles have been filed. 140 members voted to move the process forward. And yet, nothing changes. The political math is simple. Without support from the president's own party, removal is impossible. And that leaves only a few possible paths forward. That leaves only a few possible outcomes. elections that shift the balance of power, an extreme event that forces action, or Trump leaving voluntarily at the end of his term. Short of that, the pattern continues: endless impeachment talk, ongoing resignation demands, repeated charges that go nowhere. It all fades into the background noise of American politics. And that's the real story. Not the impeachment filings themselves. Not the resignation calls. The story is the system's failure to act. More than 100 lawmakers calling for removal. Multiple impeachment resolutions. 140 votes to advance action. Accusations of tyranny, authoritarianism, even warnings about dissolving the republic, and Trump remains in office. That should concern every American. Accountability collapses when party loyalty outweighs institutional responsibility. Trump may be politically wounded. His approval ratings are low. Public anxiety about the economy is high. And yet, he continues to wield full presidential authority. That's not just politics. It's a warning. The system is designed to respond to dangerous presidencies. But when party protection overrides constitutional duty, that safeguard becomes meaningless. The implications for democracy are profound. Future presidents learn that consequences are optional if their party shields them. Checks and balances can be neutralized. Public trust erodes. This isn't theoretical. It isn't speculation. It's happening right now, in real time. A president facing repeated, serious allegations remains in power because the party in control refuses to act. The lesson is clear. The danger is real. And the precedent being set could reshape American politics for years to come. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. I appreciate you.